Miracle drug frees dad from deadly brain cancer. A father defied brain cancer's death sentence through experimental treatment. But does this mark a turning point in oncology? Glioblastoma, the ruthless brain cancer claiming over 10,000 American lives annually, has long been a nightmare for patients and doctors alike. With survival rates averaging just 9 to 12 months post-diagnosis, standard treatments like surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy often feel like desperate attempts to buy time rather than cures. But a groundbreaking clinical trial at University College London Hospitals, UCLH, is challenging this grim reality, and one patient's miraculous recovery is rewriting the rules of cancer treatment. Meet Ben Trotman, a 43-year-old UK father diagnosed with glioblastoma in October 2022. Doctors initially gave him months to live. But after becoming the first person globally to receive the immunotherapy drug ipilimumab before standard treatments, Ben's tumor vanished and hasn't returned for over 2.5 years. Here's why this changes everything *, unlike traditional approaches where immunotherapy comes after grueling treatments weaken patients. This trial flips the script. By boosting the immune system early, while patients are still strong, we're seeing unprecedented results, explains trial leader Dr. Paul Mulholland. But here's where it gets controversial. Ben remains the trial's sole success story so far. While researchers plan to enroll 15 more patients over 18 months, critics argue that celebrating a single case risks giving false hope. Could this be a fluke rather than a breakthrough? The science suggests otherwise. Ipilimumab, marketed as Yervoy, works by essentially removing the invisibility cloak cancer cells used to hide from immune defenses. It's already FDA approved for melanoma, but its application to brain cancer, especially as a first-line treatment, is revolutionary. The human story cuts deeper. Ben's wife Emily describes their journey from despair to cautious optimism. "We went from planning funerals to planning a future. Against all odds, they married post-diagnosis and recently welcomed daughter Mabel." Yet Emily acknowledges the haunting uncertainty. "We're living in uncharted territory. No precedent. No guarantees." The burning question no one's asking *, why has brain cancer research stagnated for decades? Trial funder Dame Saibhane McDonough, who lost her sister to glioblastoma, pulls no punches. Margaret died knowing treatment options hadn't improved since the 1990s. That's unacceptable. Her advocacy funded this trial through Britain's National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery, a stark reminder that patient outcomes often depend on who fights for them. As Ben continues thriving against all odds, the medical community watches closely. Could pretreatment immunotherapy become the new gold standard? Or will glioblastoma's notorious adaptability outsmart this approach? Here's your chance to weigh in *, is it ethical to prioritize high-risk trials for terminal patients? Should all glioblastoma patients demand early immunotherapy access now? Or wait for more data? Share your thoughts below. Hope or hype? Where do you stand? Miracle in medicine. Brain cancer vanishes with experimental immunotherapy treatment. Imagine being handed a death sentence with just months to live, then watching that sentence vanish. That's the reality for Ben Trotman, whose deadly glioblastoma brain cancer disappeared after groundbreaking immunotherapy treatment, defying the odds and offering new hope in cancer research. His story isn't just remarkable, it's rewriting what we thought possible for terminal diagnoses. At 43, Trotman was diagnosed with glioblastoma in October 2022, a cancer so aggressive that most patients survive just 12 to 18 months. Yet today, over 2 years after receiving an experimental immunotherapy drug, his medical scans show no trace of the tumor. Even more astonishing, he achieved these results without the follow-up surgery doctors initially planned, which makes his recovery particularly exceptional. As Dr. Paul Mulholland, the oncologist leading his case at University College London Hospital, UCLH, explains, clear scans like Ben's are extraordinarily rare with glioblastoma. We're cautiously optimistic this treatment could keep the cancer at bay long-term. But here's where it becomes controversial. Despite the dramatic success in cases like Trotman's, the original clinical trial for this immunotherapy had to be halted due to lack of participants. This exposes a harsh reality in cancer research. Promising treatments often stall simply because not enough patients can access or join trials. Now, spurred by Trotman's outcome and the tragic loss of Baroness Margaret McDonough, a Labour Party leader who died of glioblastoma in 2023, the NHS is launching a new 18-month trial for 16 patients using the drug ipilimumab. This treatment activates the patient's immune system to attack cancer cells before standard therapies begin. Personal triumphs weave through this medical breakthrough. Just 2 months after his treatment, Trotman married his partner Emily, and they recently welcomed their daughter Mabel. Milestones that once seemed unthinkable. The diagnosis was traumatic, Emily shares. We went from planning a future to facing imminent loss overnight. Meeting Dr. Mulholland felt like a miraculous break in our darkest moment. The trial carries profound personal significance. Dame Saibhane McDonough, sister of the late Baroness, spearheaded a £1 million fundraising campaign after her sister's death, driven by Margaret's fury over decades of stalled brain cancer research. This was Margaret's final campaign, Dame Saibhane states. She demanded progress where none existed. Critically, this approach flips conventional cancer treatment order. Using immunotherapy first, rather than as a last resort, could fundamentally change outcomes. But this leads to ethical questions. Should high-risk experimental treatments become more accessible despite uncertain success rates? And why did earlier trials struggle to recruit when the potential rewards are so significant? Share your take below. Do the life-changing possibilities outweigh the risks in terminal cases? The new trial, funded partly by the National Brain Appeal and honoring Baroness McDonough's legacy, will occur at UCLH's Neurology Center. Eligible glioblastoma patients should consult their doctors about participation. As Dr. Mulholland asserts, our goal is curing glioblastoma. Every success like Ben's accelerates that mission, but we need more brave participants to turn hope into standard practice. Dad beats aggressive brain cancer. Groundbreaking drug makes tumor disappear. In a groundbreaking development, a father's aggressive brain cancer has completely disappeared after he participated in a new drug trial. This innovative immunotherapy trial, aimed at combating glioblastoma, the most lethal form of brain cancer, is now actively seeking participants following an extraordinary case where one patient witnessed his tumor vanish entirely. This initiative, backed by the NHS, aims to enroll 16 individuals over an 18-month timeframe and is dedicated to the memory of Baroness Margaret McDonough, who tragically lost her battle with this disease. Patients diagnosed with glioblastoma will be administered the immunotherapy drug ipilimumab before undergoing standard treatment, leveraging the immune system's optimal strength at the onset of therapy. Conducted by the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery at University College London, this trial builds upon a previous study involving the same medication, which had to be halted due to a lack of participants. Remarkably, Ben Trotman, a patient from that earlier trial, has been free of any signs of glioblastoma for over 2 years after receiving the drug. A significant achievement, considering that most patients with this condition typically succumb within 12 to 18 months. Diagnosed at the age of 40 in October 2022, Mr. Trotman is now 43 years old and, 2 years and 8 months post-treatment, his scans show no evidence of a tumor. Dr. Paul Mulholland, a consultant medical oncologist leading the new trial and who treated Mr. Trotman, remarked, "It is very unusual to have a clear scan with glioblastoma, especially since he did not undergo the follow-up surgery that was initially planned to remove the visible tumor. We are hopeful that the immunotherapy and subsequent treatments will keep his tumor at bay. And so far, we are thrilled with the results." In a heartwarming turn of events, Mr. Trotman married Emily just 2 months after his immunotherapy treatment, and in April, they welcomed their daughter, Mabel. Mrs. Trotman expressed the emotional turmoil they faced, stating, "Receiving this diagnosis was the most traumatic experience. We were struggling to comprehend how Ben went from being seemingly healthy to facing a limited time to live. If we hadn't met Dr. Mulholland, we would have felt hopeless. We consider ourselves fortunate in an otherwise devastating situation." Following his initial treatment, Mr. Trotman underwent the standard protocols of radiotherapy and chemotherapy, and he continues to have quarterly scans, all of which remain clear. He shared, "While we cannot predict what the future holds, the immunotherapy treatment and the positive scan results have instilled a sense of hope in both Emily and me. We are now focused on rebuilding the life we thought we had lost and cherishing our roles as parents." Dame Saibhane McDonough, MP, spearheaded a fundraising campaign that successfully raised over £1 million to finance this new trial. Her sister, Baroness McDonough, passed away from glioblastoma in 2023. Dame Saibhane reflected, "My dear sister Margaret was horrified to learn that there had been no advancements in brain cancer treatments for decades when she was diagnosed with glioblastoma. Changing this reality became Margaret's final mission, and I have continued this effort in her honor. I am immensely grateful to all those who knew and respected Margaret for their support in raising funds and advocating for this new trial, which we have named Margaret's Trial." Dr. Mulholland added, "When I first met Margaret, she asked me, 'What can I do to help you find a cure for this disease?' I am incredibly thankful to her and to Saibhane, whose advocacy and fundraising efforts in memory of her sister have made this new clinical trial possible for patients facing this aggressive form of brain cancer, which has such a grim prognosis, with most patients surviving only about 9 months post-diagnosis. The key aspect of this trial is that patients will receive an immune system boost from the drug before any other treatments, ensuring they are in optimal health to tolerate the immunotherapy. We are applying all the knowledge gained from previous trials to this new study and are already planning subsequent trials. My ultimate goal is to discover a cure for glioblastoma." The National Brain Appeal is currently funding 2 positions to support Dr. Mulholland's research efforts. Treatment for participants will occur at the NIHR-UCLH's Clinical Research Facility and the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery. Individuals interested in the new WINGLIO trial are encouraged to discuss this opportunity with their healthcare consultant.